What's cracking with you people?
What's up?
And I'll see you next time. Welcome back to Showtime Showcase. We just got done watching episode 7, 8, and 9 of Avatar Last Airbender. The episode specifically Avatar Roku Part 1 and 2, and the Water Scroll, I think it is?
Yeah, Wall Street.
I don't remember if that's what it's called exactly, but it's the one with the Water Scroll. So I'm going to start off by saying, the episode 7, not even halfway through, but it starts off, we see like this, so it's basically the introduction to the spirit world, and we see like this forest be burnt to the ground.
Yeah, like everything is completely just burnt, gone, nothing. It's just like a few acorns, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once again, it's an A-B plot. The A plot is Aang dealing with the fact that the Avatar. Because we learned in this episode that the Avatar is not just a individual who can bend all the elements. He's they're also a medium for the spirit world.
Yeah.
To bridge the real world and the spirit. And we find out that, like X said, the forest is littered with acorns. Remember that, we'll come back to it later.
Yeah.
And and the B plot is, Iroh is just chillaxing in a hot tub.
Yep.
That he steamed himself. Not even just firebending, he's just in it and he just blows hot steam on his nose.
Yeah, it just does that. Like, I'm just like, wow.
It's like the amount of creativity on display showing how bending can be used in so many different ways.
Oh, it's incredible.
It shows that this show wasn't a one-trick pony. It would have been so easy just to have him constantly fire flames, or constantly pull water, or constantly fling rocks, or constantly fling air.
Yeah.
No, there's more than one way to use bending, and more than one way to alter the form of matter. Essentially, the show was surprisingly scientific in that respect.
Yeah, it was.
But anyway, we get into the B plot, and then we cut back to the A plot, and we find this old man from the village asking Aang the Avatar. And initially they're
I feel like
they're cautious.
Yeah,
They're cautious at first.
Yeah,
they don't know who they can trust. Especially after that incident with Taro and his pops.
Yeah.
But they say he's the Avatar, and he asks him to come help save the village from a spirit.
Yeah.
Well, the spirit is like this strange monster thing. It is black and white.
Yeah.
And it has 4 arms and 2 legs.
Yeah.
And it is so. I remember when I first saw that episode when I was a kid. I remember that thing legitimately terrified me.
I can see why though, but I don't remember. Like I said, like this episode in particular, I don't remember, but it was scary to watch it. But I was like, whoa, that was a huge monster. And then and then you see like the people of that particular town. It's just like they need the Avatar's help, but Aang doesn't know anything about how to connect to the spirit world.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's actually just amazing seeing him like trying his best to connect to the spirit world just to help the people, and it's hard for him.
Which I find is like, I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to try not to go into a Star Wars tangent here. But
that's fine.
But everybody remembers the famous quote attributed to Yoda. Do or do not, there is no try.
Yeah.
I understand the viewpoint Yoda's coming from.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to faith, you either have it or you don't. But when it comes to Aang's a 13-year-old. Right?
Correct. Yes.
13, 12, something like that.
Yes.
And he doesn't know anything about being a spirit guy. He doesn't know anything about the spirit world. He admits it in the episode. I don't know jack about this, and there's no one around to teach me.
Yeah, exactly.
So, in those circumstances, and the story nowadays, we would have had a whole thing before he even tried, where he just beat himself down and turned away. This one he goes, I gotta try something. I gotta do something.
Yeah.
And he does do something, and it is only after he has perceivedly failed, because halfway through, the monster shows up, and he's trying to ward this thing off the best way he can. He doesn't know how to. He's just kind of throwing stuff at the wall and see what happens. Sokka ends up butting in. He gets kidnapped, and then as Aang tries to save him, he gets sucked into the spirit world.
Yeah.
So at that point, Aang wakes up. He thinks he's failed. So he walks back dejected, and we find out that you haven't really failed, but you're technically not in your body right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you are in the spirit world, but that's just another obstacle that he has to face.
Yeah.
But while he's trying to get her brother back, and then and as far as getting back into his body, like you see Aang like we had talked about, he's just going with the flow, but still trying to find a way to help this town.
Yeah.
And it's incredible how it's written so well.
then we end up bumping into Roku's dragon who's
Oh,
sent to
Lord.
find him. And I'll say, the animation of the dragon is for the most part okay, but there is like this
Oh, yeah,
photo shot where it's just this very clear like
Yeah,
still
that thing is
image.
too funny to me.
It's just weird, but I don't mind it because
It works.
it works for the time period, but it also, more than anything else, is just a short, like 2 second
Yeah,
clip,
that's
and then we
what-
hit to the main meat and potatoes, which is Aang finally bumps into Roku.
Yeah.
Bumps into Roku. Aang finally gets an idea where he can go to
Yeah.
meet Roku. And it basically find out that if he goes to this burning crescent island on the day of the solstice,
Yes,
I forget what solstice, but on the day of the solstice, he will be able to talk to Roku and get some guidance.
Yes.
Which is what he's desperately needing. Remember, this is episode 7. We're about halfway.
No, halfway through. You're right. No, we're halfway through.
We're also halfway through book 1.
Yes.
I want to say there's more episodes in book 1, but I honestly don't remember. It's been so long.
Me.
But we're halfway through book 1, and Aang's finally got some guidance. Like, we're finally getting to a point where like Aang's like, okay, the time for you to be a jokey kid has basically stopped.
Yeah.
Like after I would argue that Kyoshi Island in the last episode we did, I forget what episode it was, but Kyoshi Island, I would argue that was the last time that Aang and Sokka could really be like dumb young kids and such.
No, you're right. Actually,
At that point, everybody moved forward because I think because afterwards, after he finds what's and then he gets sent back to his body. Now we cut back to Iroh, and Iroh's just so at this point, Iroh's been captured by Earthbenders, and he's been carried away in chains. Zuko's following behind him best he can, and Iroh's being slick, right? He's
savage.
He's falling off the little turkey thing.
Yeah.
And leaving clues for Zuko to follow.
Yeah, but the man's just like 5 to 10 steps ahead of these soldiers.
Yes.
And it's just amazing. Like he's not missing a beat. He's casual about it. He's like, oh yes, I know. Well, these chains are too loose. Can you please tighten for me? And they're like, what?
Because the whole thing is that Iroh's playing up the idea that he's this old, beaten general from the Battle of Ba Sing Se.
Exactly.
Which we found out in this episode is that it was a siege on, I want to say, the biggest Earth Kingdom city and Iroh's greatest failure. He even said, 600 days. I laid siege to that city for 600 days. And the thing, we even see in this episode that Iroh has learned a great deal of humility, possibly from that Ba Sing Se incident. He basically says to the Earthbenders who have him captured and chained up, he could be like Commander Zhao, be this proud dude who can't admit he lost. I was like, no, I lost.
Yeah.
They beat me. I couldn't break that city for anything. I laid siege to that city for 600 days. My men were tired. I was tired. I lost.
Yeah.
And the whole time, he's playing it up obviously, but at the same time, you get this idea that even though he's playing up that he's this old beat general, you get the idea that he understands he lost fair and square.
Yeah.
He put his best foot forward, put everything he had into it, and lost. And that's all we get from this a short, 1 minute exposition of dialogue.
Yeah.
And then Iroh falls off the thing, leaves a sandal behind. They don't know it's a sandal, and that's what you uses to fall behind them.
Yeah.
A little bit later, we see Aang on the dragon flying overhead, and apparently Iroh can see the spirits, which I forgot was a thing.
I didn't know that was possible.
And I honestly don't remember why that's the case. So I'm looking forward to seeing if they explain that later on.
Yeah.
But and not to mention, and I want to say because in the show, Iroh has been depicted consistently as one of the most well-traveled and wisest people in.
Oh yeah, no, that's absolutely true.
Like that's been his consistent. He also laugh out loud hilarious.
Yes.
But he's consistently depicted as one of the most wise and traveled people. Where nothing bothers him.
No.
Literally nothing bothers him because he always has a plan. And then, then he plays all-seeing spirit. It's oh no, it's nothing. And hey, do you mind tightening up these chains? And the guy wants to tighten up the chains. He blows the steam that we see him blow out of his nose because you see earlier that he blows steam out of his nose with the hot tub. He blows steam out of his nose with one of the chains on his hand. And when the guy goes to change the tighten his cuffs, he puts the dude's hand on the hot chain.
Yep.
But he got to freak out and he tries to roll away. And then the Earthbenders, they lock him in with an Earthbending thing, and you think, oh, this is it. They have him now. But then he opens his eyes and it's like, got you right where I want you.
Yeah.
It's like the whole point wasn't to get captured again. The whole point was to get you to stop moving because he knew someone would be looking for him. And then they get to the fight scene where it's like, Zuko comes.
Yep.
Actually, before we get to that, I want to mention this about Zuko. Zuko sees Appa flying overhead. At this point, Sokka's kidnapped. Aang's in the spirit world. It's just Katara. He has perfect ability to go off and catch him right now. He doesn't know any of this, but if he did, that episode would be so much different. But he chooses to continue to try to find his uncle.
Yep.
Which shows that even in his most desperate search for the Avatar, he will not leave his uncle at this moment.
Nah, he's family's on.
Yeah, he's probably his only closest thing to a father figure he has right
No,
now.
that is true. That is.
So he goes off, saves Iroh, and then they fight the Earthbenders. And this show has so many good savage lines. The Earthbenders are like, "You are clearly outnumbered," and Iroh's like, "Yes, but you're clearly outmatched."
Yeah, exactly.
And he beats these people with chains around on his wrist. He beats 4 people, 4-2.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, are you serious? This man, just knows every single step.
It's like Zuko was Zuko helped, but he was barely there for the majority
Yeah,
of
of
that was
course.
Iroh. And we learned in that episode that Iroh, as old as he is very smart. He's only had one major defeat in his life, apparently, and he can still kick your butt. I don't think he fired off a single fire blast that entire fight.
No, he didn't. No.
The only time he did it was when he tried to escape earlier,
Yeah,
and that was all to get them to let him,
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, to get them to stop. And then, the episode wraps up with Aang giving this speech that's kind of meant to be into the audience, too, that even if things are destroyed, they can always grow back.
Yeah, of course.
So he shows, the Heibai spirits.
Yeah.
There are acorns. The forest will grow back. It will get better eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And the spirit takes it, which turns out to be a giant panda.
Yeah, that blew my mind. I was like, what?
Yeah, it turns out the Heibai spirit wasn't this monstrous form. It only took on this form when it was angry. It was actually a panda bear the entire time, which was foreshadowed when we, get to where it disappeared. We see like these bears in a circle and like this one big bear over everything. So it's kind of foreshadowed that it was a bear-like creature.
Yeah.
I thought it was a rabbit. I remember a rabbit, but I think I might have been wrong, and I really was.
I didn't know what it was, honestly, to tell you the truth. But I knew I thought overall it was a monster.
Yeah. But I remember, because I just took it in my head, that it wasn't actually a monster. It was just in an angry form.
Yeah.
And then, the episode ends with, Aang letting them know we have to go to this island to meet for Roku. And that opens up the next episode. I should also finish. The episode closes with Zuko going back to that village because he remembers the Avatar was there.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't forget. They didn't just drop that plot point. It's like, oh no, he still saw it. He's still going to investigate it. And then he finds out where Aang's going, and then we cut the next episode where they're going to Crescent Island.
Yes.
And we beat the block. We go through there. We see that Zuko's following them. We hit this blockade, which is apparently manned by Zhao. Like Zhao's commanding the blockade. And it's like this really intense fight sequence where it's like Appa's flying through and dodging all these fireballs, a little bit singed, and the entire time you can see Appa's like, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm fine. I ain't worried about it. It's a little singed. I'm good.
Get the Avatar. Get his beast. And I'm just like, yo, they just not even trying.
It's just the animation style is
it's still top notch.
Is on point.
Lord Jesus.
Zuko takes a hit, and Zhao's like, well, you think Zhao's going to capture Zuko again like he did in episode, I think it was 3 of the series.
Yeah.
But Zhao's like, nah, let him go. And right then and there, Zhao is not going to let it go that easily. And if you think about it early enough, Iroh confirms what you're thinking. Zhao's only letting him go so he can follow the smoke screen to see where the Avatar's going.
Exactly.
And Zuko gets the idea, it's like, yeah, I understand that. I'm going to do the diversion, and he's going to follow the smoke screen. And Iroh goes, are you sure you want to do this? And you can clearly see on Iroh's face, this is not going to work. He doesn't say it, but he already knows it's not going to work.
Oh yeah, of course not.
The one thing I like about Iroh is that, because even before that, when they're flying to when they're going to the blockade, Iroh's letting Zuko know, you are still banished. If you get captured, I can't do nothing for you.
Yeah.
He's letting him know that there are consequences to your actions, but he's not outright telling him he cannot do it.
Yeah.
He's just saying, if you do this, there
I
will be consequences.
Yes.
And that's the thing about Iroh, is that Iroh is very much of the philosophy that, like, I can only warn you so much. Eventually,
Yeah.
you're gonna learn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And we get to the island and we find out that the fire sages are basically against the Avatar, except for one. I forget what his name was. And we go through this whole shebang. And basically, the entire episode takes place in one location.
Yeah.
And we get to a point where it's like, yeah, he gives us backstory on Roku, on the temple itself, how it was formed, how Roku basically like built it up and carved out the magma structure, which I think is a plot point that contradicts itself later on in the show, but I don't remember really.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to get there. We find out the door is locked, and that there's only two ways to open it. Either a fully realized Avatar can open that door by himself, or you need all 5 fire sages, since 4 of them don't like you.
Yeah. And I could be wrong. Didn't they all try? Did all 4 of the fire guys try to open the thing
No, they didn't. It was just what happened was Sokka. I mean, once again, this actually shows some scope of Sokka in the beginning of his character being the outside thinker, the smart one of the group.
Yeah.
He devises a plan to open up the door by making pseudo firebending by using basic bombs.
Yeah.
And it has the one guy who light the string to make it work. And it was a good idea, but it doesn't work. But it looked like it did.
Yeah.
So they had a secondary plan where they basically, the guy that's helping out with lie, say that Aang is in there and trick all 5 into opening up the door.
Right.
And they do. Zuko captures Aang before he can get inside, gets away, gets inside the door, and then we see a bright blue flash, and then Zuko and the other 4 sages try to open up the door, and it won't budge because Roku in spirit form has locked the door.
Yeah.
He's like, look, you guys can stay out there. I got something to tell this kid.
That was just insane to me. That was insane.
And then we find out the overarching plot of the entire series, Sozin's Comet. Like for those of you who don't know, I will give it away a little bit right now. Sozin's Comet is a plot point that doesn't get resolved till the very last episode of the series.
Yeah, which I forgot all about. I didn't know that.
And I think that's a good thing because because that's the thing about a lurking threat. It's the thing in the background. What Roku tells Aang is that Sozin, the guy who the comet is named for, used that comet 100 years ago to start the war that the whole series is framed around.
Yeah.
And he said by summer's end, so we're in spring right now.
Yeah.
By summer's end, so Aang's got a little bit over 5-6 months.
Yeah.
To learn all the elements. If he does it by then, when this comet comes back, the current Fire Lord will use it to finish the war, and not even the Avatar can fix this.
Yeah.
That's how bad this thing's supposed to be. And so we learned that, and it's interesting because I remember saying, oh yeah, so it's this comet. And then you realize, for those of you who watched the series, you probably completely forgot Sozin's Comet was a thing.
Yeah, I didn't.
For those of you who have not watched it and are probably watching it with us, you will forget Sozin's Comet is a thing.
Yeah, I forgot. Like I said, I forgot about it. I didn't remember these episodes. So I was like, no, I don't remember them at all.
Some of these episodes, I'll admit, are a little bit crazy. Like I thought this episode came in a little bit later. Turns out it didn't. But Sozin's Comet is a thing that is basically mentioned and then dropped for 2 seasons. When I mean drop, I mean they just don't bring it up again. It's just something that you're supposed to remember is a thing. And everything around it is basically the urgency to get Aang to where he needs to be to basically deal with this situation.
But that's genius though to me.
Yeah. And that's why, and I think that's how you do an overarching plot. Think of it like Thanos from the Marvel series, but where Thanos only showed up intermittently at the end of movies, every other movie, not every, but every other movie. I think I want to say it's every Avengers movie, but even then, I don't think that's accurate too. I think it's only like 3 or 4 movies that he shows up at the end of. But Sozin's Comet is a thing that, unless I'm mistaken, they bring up now. They mention it again in the next episode because the next episode opens up. I mean, it closes out with I'll finish this. It closes out with Roku taking control of Aang's body in the Avatar state and just fire bending like a G. It's like everybody opens fire on this guy. You think, oh no, it's Aang. And then I forgot for a split second, oh wait a minute. you see it open up, the flames from all the firebenders get dispersed, and all you see is this angry ghost of Roku. Like, I'm about to open a can of fiery whoop ass on your ass. And he goes beast mode. He burns the chains on everybody that's been chained up. He knocks down everybody else. He pulls lava out the core of the planet and destroys his temple. And then he just lets it go. It's like, okay, my work here is done. And then this episode opens up with Aang freaking out about Sozin's comic and learning all the bending styles, which I think is appropriate because you literally have 6 months to learn something that Roku himself said it takes years to learn this.
and two, once again, he's still a child.
Yeah, he's only 13. It's it's like the amount of stuff they set up in these opening episodes while still not making it feel bloated or rushed. It's astounding to me.
It is.
And we finally get a break from all that with the final episode 9, with the water scroll.
Yeah.
Where Katara is basically teaching Aang the water bending techniques.
Yes. Oh my God.
And Aang, being the Avatar, is naturally gifted at doing some of this water bending stuff.
True.
But Katara, who's been basically water bending by herself, self-taught for years, and barely has any moves down, she's getting progressively more jealous. She teaches him 3 skills. He gets them like that, and she's just like,
it's that quick, guy. Like, no lie, it's that quick.
And the B plot is Iroh trying to find a lotus tile that he needs for something, which once again, it's something that they set up early. That doesn't get paid off till way later in the series.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, what? It's like, having watched the series, when I go back and see what they set up in the first season alone, I'm like, wait a minute, what? But yeah, no, he detours to try to find his lotus tile that he needs. And in the meantime, he goes to this market where, because Aang has inadvertently supplies. He buys a whistle with 1 of the 3 copper coins left, and they end up bumping into these pirates who have a water bending scroll that Katara is dead set on trying to find. Set on trying to get.
Yes.
They help her out, and she ends up stealing it, and almost gets everybody killed. Iroh's around, and he ends up like, yeah, I didn't find the white lotus tile, but I did find all these other knickknacks. He's like, why you got a horn? For music nights. It only has some woodwinds. I'm like, really?
That was too funny.
And then they bump into the pirates that Aang and the gang stole from. And once again, they have a fantastic escape sequence.
Yeah.
And he's like, so tell me more about this monk. They have the arrow in his head, and they strike a deal to try to find him. And he's like, so why on the water? It's like, well, they saw a water bending scroll, right? They're going to be on the water. And then what else is it? And then Katara's practicing the scroll, trying to get this one move down, and then Aang gets moved down like that, and she finally snaps.
Yeah.
And she's
jealous.
She's jealous. Her anger, the jealousy gets the better of her, and Sokka calls her out for it, and then she sees Aang be visibly upset by her snapping at him.
Yeah.
And she realizes right then and there, oh my God, what have I done?
There you go.
And I'm fine with that because now most shows nowadays will just have her run off in a huff, but she just should have admits, oh no, I made a mistake right there.
Yeah.
But she's still not done. She actually stays up at night, takes the scroll for the practice, which leads to a whole other thing where they all get captured eventually.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and Zoku like in the morning like appears and is literally telling her like bring me the Avatar and you would not be harmed.
Yeah, and once again they end up capturing them, and then Sokka pulls a brilliant move.
That was jeez.
It's basically something straight out of the end of Aladdin.
Yeah.
Aladdin, where Aladdin basically tricks Jafar into becoming a genie, by saying the genie is more powerful than you. Well, Sokka pulls the same thing, but he goes, "Are you really going to trade the Avatar for that scroll? I'm just saying, if I were to pay you a handsome price, you'd be set for life." And the pirates immediately go, "You can keep the scroll. We're going to turn this Avatar in." And then Zuko gets pissed. He's like, "Sokka, shut up!" And he's like, "Yeah, Sokka, you might want to shut up now."
Yeah, exactly.
But it all worked out. Like every character inside this show is portrayed as competent and intelligent.
Yes.
The only downside is either their pride. It's either their pride or just their own temper, which I think is a very realistic approach. Rather than having obvious flaws in their plan, that's like you could think this through a little bit more,
Yeah, of course.
But going off of that, let's say Yeah, and then you know they get to a firebending duel. What do they do? They just fight the pirates. But the thing is, you think firebenders will be able to handle pirates a problem, but these pirates are giving these firebenders a run for their money.
Oh, they are. They get in the business.
It's like I like that the show doesn't just up and say because you're a bender you're all powerful. They basically say anyone can kick anyone's ass at any point in time, and I'm like thank you, because then you lose all tension in any fight scene, and it's just you have all this stuff going on. Aang and Katara reconcile. They water bend the pirate ship away so they can steal it and run.
Yep.
And then the pirates steal Zuko's ship. and the entire time, like, I was like, "Are you guys too busy squabbling? You can't see your ship is set sail?" And because Iroh at this point is so known for proverbs, Zuko's like, "Uncle, this is no time for your proverbs." And Iroh was like, "It's not a proverb." And you see the ship sailing off, and it's like, and Zuko's laughing at them, like, "My ship!" And you see their ship sailing out, Zuko and their ship gets stolen by the pirates, like my ship. And I was like, maybe it should be a proverb.
There you go.
And then the episode ends with Aang, the whistle that he bought for the bison whistle he bought ends up actually working. They overwhelm the waterfall. Appa saves them after the whistle is taken. They fly off into the sunset. Asaka has the water bending scroll.
Yeah.
And Katara's like, yeah, it's about to steal. Well, it's for pirates.
There you go.
It's like, yeah, there's a good moral there, but she's still gonna be a cheeky little brat.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
And then Iroh's like, hey, Zuko, wanna know something funny? I know you just lost your boat, but I have the lotus towel hidden in my sleeve the entire time. And Zuko's so done with Iroh's shit.
Oh, no, he's so done.
He yanks the title and tosses it. Oh man, the humor in this show is on point, and the fact they're able to balance humor and serious moments.
Oh yeah.
Well, without it feeling like whiplash, is great, and I think I finally figured out how they're able to do it. When you're focused on a set of characters, they don't. Okay, let's rewind a little bit here. The show appreciates that kids will remember the tone of the scene beforehand.
Yeah.
So when they see that it's like Aang, Katara, and Sokka, and they're having a jokey moment, and they cut to Zuko and Iroh having serious moments, they will remember that when they're watching this set of characters with Zuko and Iroh, things are serious. With Aang, Katara, and Sokka, it's jokey. Conversely, if it's serious with Aang and the gang, and jokey with Zuko, they'll remember that. And I think that's how they're balancing it. Because nowadays, what they'll do to have humor is they'll have these serious moments within shows and whatnot, and instead of cutting back to a moment where it's already established as being comedic, they'll just keep the same characters who are being serious and then just cut all the tension by cracking a dumb joke.
Yeah.
Whereas in Avatar, they take their time to establish that, hey, here's A plot, here's B plot, here's the tone of both plots, and they take the time to treat their audience, treat their younger, because it's TVY7 apparently. I thought it was much younger, but no, I thought it was a little bit older, but no, it's TVY7.
Yeah.
The first season of Avatar. But they take the time to appreciate that the audience will remember the tone of the scene prior.
Yeah.
There was a level of confidence, in your audience that I just don't see anymore. I just don't see it.
No, I don't either. It's really changed over the years, man. As far as the audience, like you said, all of this changed.
Like one thing, like TVY7 nowadays means something very different than TVY7 meant in 2005.
Oh,
because
right.
if you look about on Netflix, Avatar related TVY7 for fear and fantasy violence.
And sex.
Well, not sex.
Yeah.
It's just fear and fantasy violence. Nowadays, TVY7 basically means that it's fantasy violence, and then you have all these dumb jokes.
Yeah.
We were talking about it before the episode, but Tom Tankage was another example. Back in the day, George Carlin voiced the narrator for the first 3 seasons, and Ringo Starr was the narrator for the first 3 in England. And the author of the series back in 1945, as well as George Carlin and Ringo Starr, both all said the same thing. This book series does not talk down to kids.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if you watch Tom, as I caught a couple episodes with my nephews watching it, they were much younger, it very much talks down to kids. It's very much acting like they're a bunch of dribbling, brain dead babies. And having grown up with Talk Engine and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
Avatar: Last Airbender, I can safely say, children's entertainment has changed for the worse, in my opinion.
No,
There
I
are
agree.
no. And here's the thing, right? I get what you're trying to go over, trying to have like these fun, dumb, entertaining shows.
Yeah.
But here's an example of a fun, dumb, entertaining show that didn't talk down to its audience. Rocket Power.
Yeah.
We brought that up earlier too. That show was very much a product of its time. It was very much set in this way. It had some moral moments there here and
Yeah.
there, but it was overall an action-packed, energetic, fun show.
Yeah.
Like Ed, Ed, and Eddie, that's another one as well.
Yes.
Especially Ralph. He was my favorite character.
Jesus God.
You there, Mark the Son of a Shepherd?
But Ed boy.
The remaining door was that boy. Double D and boy.
I can't, man.
But yeah, it's like I remember shows having their dumb moments, but they were more consistent and focused.
Yeah.
That's the word to describe children's entertainment pre-2010, I would say.
Yeah.
After that, it's just a disjointed mess.
Oh yeah, of course it is.
We'll talk about it more in a Cinema Synergy episode, but I wanted to touch on it now so people kind of understand that when I'm gushing about Avatar, I'm gushing about it because it is legitimately good.
It really is.
It's legitimately
Shit,
good.
it really is.
So with that being said, we're going to call it here for today.
Yeah.
Join us next week for episodes
10, 11, 12.
10, 11, and 12.
Yeah.
And yeah, deuces.
Yeah. Peace.